This is Inconstant. Hi everyone, I hope you are all well. Just a little bit of advertisement at the start of this week's pod. If you could support the pod either by using the tip jar or buying a subscription through Setup in the link in the episode descriptions, that would help me out a lot. Cheers guys, hope you enjoyed the episode.
Cool.
Hello everyone, this is a new episode of Inconstant. Today we're going to be talking about the film About Time. My guest today is Dec, and I'm going to get your surname wrong again, is Dec Bowring.
Perfect.
He's a 24-year-old graduate of English from Aston University in Birmingham. He's from Hereford in the West Midlands. He claims that's the real life home of the British version of the Hillbillies. We're currently going through the COVID-19 impact, so he's working a supermarket job, but like me, he's wanting to get into the publishing industry, and specifically publicity. He enjoys bike riding, dancing at nightclubs, which I think is going to be a bit of a problem at the moment, and he's been published in Vice Australia about parents lost in grief, and Metro UK about the pitfalls and cultural barriers of the LGBT community and interracial dating. How you doing, dude?
I'm good, man. I mean, I'm going a little bit stir crazy. I'm not going to lie. Thankfully, I have to go out to work. Otherwise, I would lose my head. Yeah.
So I don't know how we ended up. I can't remember how we ended up following each other on Twitter.
I have no clue.
I've got a feeling it might be something to do with the Society of Young Publishers.
Possibly.
I'm not entirely.
It's like how you've got like that friend you've known like 20 years, and everyone there, and you go like, "How did we meet?" I don't know. It's the same thing.
So glad to hear that you're okay. How you're coping okay with the COVID-19? At least you're working and stuff like that. I know a lot of people being furloughed and that sort of situation.
It's good. Well, I mean, it's terrible that people are being put in these positions. So as much as I want to just move on with my life, right now we need to kind of lay back and pause everything to let this pass,
Yeah, I mean, just talking from the personal point of view, a lot of the publishing roles have been kind of put on hold. I've got a lot of emails from people saying, "Oh, this role that you've applied for, they're putting on that hold until So that's
I had a few of those. It was a bit disheartening.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get set up. There's a question that's an in-joke between me and my mate that also has a podcast called In Your Own Words. So the first question I'm going to ask all my guests from here on in is, what is your favorite episode of Time Team?
I've never even watched Time Team. Oh.
Yes. Okay. That's that. Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's a question that she asked that I thought, why you know. Okay. I mean, in the context of her podcast, it made sense, but I just thought it's an ordinary question to ask someone.
You shot your shoot. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So your film is the 2013 Richard Curtis film About Time. I want to ask, when did you first see the movie?
Oh, right. There's a bit of a story behind this one. So long story short, my dad passed away as that film hit the cinema, and a couple of my friends back then said, "Oh, there's this film. It looks really good. It looks nice. It looks quite cheerful and a bit funny. Do you want to go see it?" And I'm there all moody going, "No, I'm fine." "Okay, fine, we'll go." And I'd seen the film with them in this little cinema in Hereford, and there's a bit later in the film where the dad dies, and they had no clue that it happens. And I was fine. I was laughing because the way they wrote it was so beautiful and funny, and my friends were looking at me the whole time like, "Is he right? Is he going to be okay?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Nah, it's fine." So that's how I got introduced to that film, and I don't know why, but it stuck as one of my favorites of all time.
That's really interesting. Kind of
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a bit weird. because a lot of my guests, when I ask them when they first saw the movie, they can't actually really remember
Hmm.
when they
I
saw
think,
it. It's you know, it's kind of maybe when I was like a teenager, or maybe I
yeah.
saw it on TV. But for you, that's quite a memorable
I think
occasion.
it's just hilarious. I can still see their faces being, are we allowed to swear? I guess not. I was proper like, oh no, like
Yeah,
thinking I was just
yeah.
gonna combust or something, but no, it's great. I loved it.
Okay, okay. And why did you choose this film to talk about?
I chose it because just the way it's written and the way it's filmed, it's beautiful. You know, to listen, to watch, to just get into what they're saying. I love the dialogue with the characters. It's beautifully written. Really, like I wish I could spin off a few quotes, but there's a way of making it seem really lifelike and quite organic. That's just well written's the word I keep coming back to for it. And
Yeah,
obviously the way it looks, like all these nice films like About Time and let's see Lady in the Van and all this lot, they make Britain look so much nicer than it really is.
yeah,
So I don't know how they do that, but that's part of, I think, why I love it. I love that sort of thing they do to it. And I guess the themes really reach out to me too. Obviously, you know, like straddling a life between a city and a rural place, I've done that. And then
yeah,
obviously the family stuff that happens, plus the touch of fantasy as well. It's about a time traveling dad, for heaven's sakes.
yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of so I when I've so I you know to be upfront, I've when I was looking at Richard Curtis's filmography, I realised this is actually probably the first one of his films I've watched all the way through. And kind of I've seen a bit of Four Weddings. I had absolutely no patience with his love film. What was it called?
I know what one you're on about because I looked into his filmography as
Love
well. But
Actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Love
the thing. I
Actually.
hate those types of films. All of those films I really can't stand, but this one seems to just jump out of the picture for me. I'm not sure
Yeah,
why. Really, I just think it had something different about it.
yeah. So I'll kind of be honest with you. The kind of second two-thirds of this movie had a lot of heavy lifting to do for me because the first couple of first 10 minutes, I was really struggling because I just thought the character of Tim was a complete dick, and kind of like that,
Yeah,
you know, that kind of like
that
really
Gormy friend that
cut,
we've all
yeah,
got.
yeah, that Gormy friend that we've all got,
Oh,
and his kind of like the first kind of like the opening voiceover where he's talking about what his life was, and I just thought, if I met anyone like this in real life, I'd really want to punch them in the face.
yeah.
But it's just kind of
You
like,
know what?
this, when he's describing his sister and all that sort of thing, I just think, oh God, you're a dick. I don't I'd really,
Oh,
yeah. So
poor
yeah,
Tim.
so yeah, poor Tim. So I don't know, I don't know kind of what you felt about the character of Tim, or where he was. So this is a question I ask a lot of my guests as well. Do you think Tim is a dick? Kind of the main character in the movie. Do you think that person is a
I
hero or a villain, or
He
somewhere in between?
definitely sits in the middle because in that gorminess, he makes a lot of selfish decisions or a lot of
Yeah,
stupid decisions. I even remember when I've sat and forced my friends to sit and watch it for the millionth time when I lived in Birmingham. It's just this, they're all going at the screen going, what the fuck are you doing that for? Why are you doing that? You're gonna mess it all up. So yeah, he's thoughtless, he's stupid, but I think he's one of those lovable idiots who tries to do the right thing. Obviously, he goes back to fix what he messes up, and that's the crux of the film anyway.
yeah,
But yeah, it definitely sits in the middle somewhere. For real,
yes,
he's no angel and he's not evil.
yeah. So for me, this film kind of suffers, not suffers. It has a bit of like that friend syndrome where like you like all the friends' characters, but if you look at actually what their characters have done in the past,
They're
they're kind of
flawed as
awful.
well.
Yeah, they're very, very flawed.
Oh yeah.
Arguably awful, awful people. So it's just the performance and the performance from Donald Gleason makes
Oh yeah.
in another actor's hands, it might have made the character a lot less likable and personable.
I agree with you on that one. And going back to what you said about characters being flawed, I mean, look at his sister. I adore his sister because she's this floaty, innocent, free spirit with a banged up old car and can't hold down a job. And she sounds wonderful. She sounds delightful, but really, she's a raging alcoholic with loads of problems. Like,
Yeah,
it's so sad, but it's how they're spun and portrayed. And I agree with you. The actor who played that character was actually, if it was in anyone else's hands, it would have fallen apart. I think.
yeah.
I think.
I find Donald Gleason a really interesting actor to watch on screen. So his performances in kind of films like Ex Machina, and you see his performances in Star Wars and other films that he's been in, and it just like the contrast between the way that he acts and his dad is just like you wouldn't believe that that they
That
were
they're
related, because his dad is that kind of his dad is this big, gruff, hard looking Irish bloke, and like Donald Gleason, obviously he's Irish, but he does accents really really well. So you
Yeah,
wouldn't be able
he
to tell that.
sounds pristine, like that very, very upper class white male London eccentric kind of thing, and it's so you wouldn't think it's the same person. So that's clearly someone who can do it well, and he's so his character. I don't know what he's like, but his character's so meek and just absolutely lost all the time. Like it's a miracle he's got this quite high up in life, you know. But he's still,
Yeah.
I don't know. I carry a bit of love
Well,
for the guy, really.
yeah. I mean, well, he must have. So, kind of full disclosure, I used to be a solicitor, so I know a little bit about the legal profession. So he
Hmm.
must have had something about him to get a um, a pupillage at what seems to be quite a high end barrister's chamber. So he's obviously been to university, got a high
Or
level of
daddy, or the
education.
banker mummy and daddy, God knows, like one
Yes,
of the
that's
two.
that. Yeah, and kind of that theme of I hate the phrase white privilege, but privilege does kind of run through the film a bit.
It's
Kind of
funny, actually. That is exactly what I was going to say to you. That's the only drawback about the film, like apart from the fact people online like to sort, because I'm a bit geeky with film trivia, and the trivia for this film was more reviews of people saying plot holes, because it's time travel and it's hard to get it
yeah,
right. But one of the things I didn't resonate with as my kind of experience in life was how privileged they were. Like they have this massive, swanky, gorgeous place in London. Him and his girlfriend live in Maida Vale in London, and
really
like
expensive. Yeah, a really
yeah,
expensive area of London.
and
Yeah,
she's like a book reader who like like she has that accent, and she just lives above a lovely ornate shop in a nice flat, when I'd be living in like if I moved to London, it would be like a crammed thing above a takeaway that stinks. So
yeah,
it's what it is. It's so out of touch with normal people, but it's a beautiful tale wrapped up in a little bit of privilege, I think.
yeah. I think that is a common criticism of Richard Curtis's films, is that when he's depicting London, it's kind of like a fairy tale,
Oh God, yeah.
unrealistic depiction. Um,
Well,
of,
bringing it back to the lady in the van, like as much as it's a story, ironically, about poverty and deprivation for this one lady, the neighborhood is one of the richest in that postcode. So, you know, we're not
yeah,
talking about like someplace in Barking that struggles with deprivation or anything.
yeah, yeah. I think I would like to see in one of his movies eventually. I see one of his, I've only seen one of his movies, but I can't imagine his movies ever featuring like a chicken burger shop, or you know what I mean, something like that. Like a
Or like
kind of like a yeah, something, something of that nature.
finishing the
Um,
night out at like Chicken Cottage or something.
yeah,
Like.
exactly, man. That's where you're going to be going after the meal. They're going to these
Yeah, because you'll see me in the background otherwise. Like,
yeah. Um, so you mentioned kind of the time traveling
Yep.
aspects of the movie. Um, I find it quite interesting when, so I would consider this a sci-fi film, and I find it quite interesting when sci-fi films aren't marketed at sci-fi as far as sci-fi films.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering kind of what you kind of felt about that? Would you consider this more of a romance or a sci-fi movie or somewhere in between?
Oh god, you see, that's the thing. I would out and out say it's like a rom-com with a little bit of dramedy in it, if we're talking every kind of amalgamation you can think of.
Yeah,
I would say it's not sci-fi in the fact that sci-fi to me screams out like monochrome spaceships and robots going beep boop bop, because I'm just so archaic like that, even though I know that's not what sci-fi really is.
yeah,
And the element of sci-fi is definitely there with the whole time travel thing. That is purely sci-fi and fantasy and fiction rolled into one crazy quantum leaping kind of bubble. But yeah, I'd say definitely not that kind of genre. Definitely in the romance
okay.
and
So for me, I would say disagree with you. So for me, sci-fi is any story that uses science or science fiction elements to explore what it is to be a human being, and the time traveling aspect is definitely a science fiction um, trope, and it's kind of that's at the crux of how these characters, well, how Tim and his dad,
mm-hmm.
what how they discover what it is to be the best person that they can be
Yeah.
to themselves and to the members of their families, and the it's definitely kind of I think we're quite in an interesting period of time in fiction at the moment, because so many genres are getting kind of mashed up together. So this is a sci-fi film with romantic and comedy and drama elements, or you could say it's a drama film with romantic comedy elements, and like the sci-fi is just kind of incidental. So it's just
Yeah,
kind of a really interesting kind of time in the type of fiction that we're going through at the moment.
I would agree with that. I mean, I could even go as far to say it is solely a drama that happens to have some really funny bits of dialogue written in on that look like it's just on the side because it's not rip roaring funny the whole way through, as it's not meant to be. But then we probably know as film fans and fans of writing that comedy, funny writing has to be poured over and done ever so right, or it will not hit. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
trying to think of pigeonhole it is so hard.
yeah. I think that's actually quite correct as well. Um, so as a time traveling, this kind of time travel, what I really liked about the time traveling elements of this film is that the rules made sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of time traveling films where kind of the rules don't make any sense, and because the rules don't make any sense, there's no jeopardy and there's no stakes.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, is do you want to talk about kind of a little bit about kind of what the stakes in the film are? Because when the movie starts off, the stakes in the film are kind of basically him not wanting to look foolish in front of this
Yeah, and
girl that he
trying to get
fancies,
this
but then
girl and
yeah,
everything.
and then they kind of the stakes actually gradually kind of get
Oh,
bigger. So
the stakes grow. They get so bloody serious because he's having a ball of a time fixing it. Are we allowed to swear on here, or is it just
yeah, of
not?
course, yeah, man, yeah, no worries.
So he's going and fixing every fuck up that he makes. And it's brilliant. It's great. Like all this crazy stuff happens. Obviously, he's helping his producer make get a successful play review and all that shit. And it's brilliant. It's going great. Then the stakes up when there's the fact that he nearly loses his kid in the way of he's gone back in time and that whole butterfly effect things happened. He's squashed a bug and everything's gone all different and weird. So that's the biggest crisis. Through probably about the midway point when there's always a good time for one, and then I think the stakes, weirdly enough, though it seems calmer, the stakes get absolutely massive when he realizes he can no longer go and visit his dad. He's going to have to close the door on revisiting his dad's life at the end, near the end of the film, because obviously, his dad's like, "Oh, I'm dying now. You can't go back after then. Like it's all different now." So the stakes very kind of like gradually go up and up and up in that way. First, it's, "Oh my god, lost my kid. Oh my god, can't see my dad anymore." It gets so serious. Like it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of like I lost my father as well, kind of when I was 22,
Oh.
and it's it's one of those weird things, kind of thinking about kind of the relationship between father and sons, and the things that you'd want to go back and maybe do again, or kind of do differently. And you know the, let's get into spoilers, but the film is kind of old at the moment, and we're under COVID-19, guys. This is your opportunity. Spoilers from here out, guys. So one of the key decisions he has to make, as we kind of discussed, is one of the rules is that if you go back in time after someone is born, so he has a child, he goes back in time to try and fix something.
Mm-hmm.
When he comes back, it's a different baby, and he talks to his dad. It's like, yeah, if you go back in time after someone's born, it's a different sperm that goes inside.
It's a different
and
thing.
It's a completely kind of different person. So after your child's born, you can't go back in time, otherwise you're going to end up with a different kid. And it just made me think kind of really one of the final dilemmas that he has is that, if I have another child, I'm not going to be able to go back in time and see my dad. So just wondering how that kind of hit home with you in terms of, what memories you'd want to go back and share with your dad and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because me and Dad were always, it's a very on-off thing anyway, so there's things I miss and things that aren't there to be missed and things that I wonder about. But relating that into how the film evokes that kind of stuff, it's interesting because I don't know why, but for some reason, it's always the very closing scene of the film when obviously they got a little actor to be the main guy when he was a kid and running around with the dad when he's all alive and healthy, despite the fact he don't look any younger and all of that stuff. And that's when I'm always thinking, oh my God. But they've done it well because they got that scene that is just, well, it's not a particularly poignant scene. It's just a young guy running around with his dad. But because the dad's just died, they've managed to amp up that tension, well, that emotion, by doing a whole lot of not much, which is quite smart for writing. And it did evoke those kinds of feelings of, being on a beach somewhere with your dad, even though my experience definitely wasn't as classy as theirs.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Yeah, it's interesting. I think they just managed to tie something so deeply into something we can all empathize with. And that's why I think it hit so well, I think.
Yeah. So I would say this is a very male-centric movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is no leading characters. You've got Rachel, is it Rachel McAdams, I think her surname is?
Yeah.
But obviously this was a long time after she had her hit with Mean Girls. So obviously this was a nice, lovely, pivotal difference for her creatively. And she did it so well. And you're so right. It's so male-centric. It's very, very white male-centric. There is no diversity. Like, I would think this film wouldn't have been viewed the same, or the plot wouldn't have been the same if Mr. Curtis took himself to Sparkhill, Birmingham, and tried to set it there or something. Like, these are areas I've lived, these are places I've lived in, and I thought, well, this is like some kind of British utopia where everything's so nice and clean and classy and well-to-do. So I do see that heaviness of the whiteness, the maleness. It's all the women are just kind of trailing along and being part of something, but not really.
Yeah, I would have liked like the most fleshed out character was Tim's sister in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
like she had foibles and she had pluses and minuses, but I would have liked Rachel McAdams' character to sort of be a little bit more fleshed out. You never really, when you're in a relationship, there's always arguments, there's always pitfalls and stuff like this, and I never really got to see the negative side of the relationship that much.
No, you saw that, but it was always tied into the main guy.
Yeah,
we never got to see Rachel Yeah, exactly. And his gaze is his guys as well. We never got to see her sleepless and trying to look after this kid and going absolutely apeshit at him. But then we never know. We never saw a director's cut. We're not sure what we missed, but there is that as well.
So like I mentioned at the start, I like the first 10-15 minutes of this movie just rubbed me up the wrong way, but
Mm-hmm.
the last 2/3 did quite a lot of heavy lifting, and I ended up enjoying it quite a lot.
Me too, which is
Yeah,
so weird because it's not what I would
it's
enjoy
yeah. So
usually.
I don't typically watch films with kind of a romantic comedy element to them.
That's the
Um,
thing. I only got introduced to it thanks to those friends who meant very well and
yeah,
got it
yeah,
accidentally a bit wrong. Like I would never
yeah,
have looked at that. I would have looked at that cover or the premise and gone, absolutely not. But
yeah. For me, I've got a problem with romantic comedies since I went to America when I was 16 years old, and we had to watch My Best Friend's Wedding on loop. I think about 13 or 14 different times in a row because it's my cousin's wedding, and she just wanted to see a nice romantic film, and that was quite brutal for me. So that's kind of that's put me off a little bit
oh,
from yeah
nah, that's enough to finish anybody off. I'm not gonna
yeah
lie.
yeah yeah. In terms of what's the next question I wanted to ask you? Um,
He was on about publishing as well, like experience in
yeah
publishing if you get to it.
yeah. So yeah, I'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to I wanted to ask you about with if you had kind of like Tim's power, how big a dick do you think he would be? Because I think that's always an interesting question when you're talking about travel movies. And let's face it, Tim has got a bit of a superpower.
Yeah,
How
fully.
much you would use and abuse it? Because I think he was quite meager in his ambitions with it, because like his own ambition was just I just like to get laid,
Hmm.
really. um Now I'm not saying I'll do that, wouldn't be one of my priorities, but there might be a few other things that I might be up to doing with that power.
I don't know. I think I'd be only a couple more notches more excited about it than he was. I think I would fix up the fuck ups that I make because yeah, I make a lot of those,
Yeah,
and maybe I'll try to like I don't know, just I don't know, rob a shop and then keep the money and then go back when it
yeah,
never happened. Maybe just try it once. I don't know how brave I'll
yeah.
be,
That would
but that's
be
about
an
it.
absolutely fantastic scene in the movie, though, if he'd done that, if he'd gone out and robbed a bank, and
Yeah,
as he's being
or just
arrested in the
held
dark.
up
So
like a
just
shop or something, like
yeah,
just
just
something
gone
so
back in
good.
time. Yeah, gone back
Mhm.
in time. All right, that never happened. All right, I know what that would have been a
No.
brilliant film. That would have been a brilliant scene,
Oh God,
in the
yeah.
movie.
I think
Um,
it was too disruptive for the vibe. The whole thing is so lovey-dovey and
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Mm.
I would have liked a few more of those. It's a little bit reminiscent of Groundhog's Day as well, because he is going back in time to kind of fix his mistake, even though the rules of the two universes are really different. See, again, I would consider Groundhog's Day a sci-fi film, even though a lot of people don't look at it as a sci-fi film, because it's using time travel mechanic to explore what it is to be um, a human being and kind of like the human condition.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's kind of a good chat we've had about the movie. Um, Both of us are kind of looking for work in publishing at the moment. I was just
Oh.
wondering how that search was going and what you think about the current how you think COVID-19 is going to affect the industry and stuff like that.
So it's pretty abysmal. I actually tried for the first time to break into publishing last year as part of The Scheme by Penguin Random House, which obviously a
Yeah,
lot of people know and some don't. Um, why not before that? I'm 24 now. Why not before? Well, I never thought I'd be good enough. It's just where I come from. Everyone's a cleaner or a carer or works in a warehouse. So that never really occurred to me as possible. Um, I think it's been going pretty awfully. Like I'd applied for all the entry level jobs, and lo and behold, nothing happened. Even the ones where, because it's such a close knit industry, even the ones where I sort of knew the name of someone personally and put that into an application, even though I won't say any more than that, it didn't come to anything. So I'm just thinking, what am I? what's going to happen. And then as for the industry now, obviously I don't think it's fledgling like a lot of industries are, because people are buying the books. Thank God for that. Like, we are trying to get into something that's not going to die on its ass right in front of us, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
What I want to happen is publishing embraces flexibility, such as home working, not so London centric. Not everyone can afford to live there. Not everyone likes getting on the Northern Line at 9 a.m. I certainly fucking didn't. And all of these other things, because I did 2 weeks experience for PRH in October in the end, the work experience. Whether I don't think they will embrace that change, because publishing just doesn't seem to like change so much as an industry whole. I'm always keeping a grasp of what the conversation on Twitter is with publishing people, and shout out Sam Missingham. I love that woman. And we're always talking about how, well, not me, but I'm seeing the conversation of publishing should change from the people who work in it, but whether it implements that and actually goes that extra mile, probably not. Probably still very London centric in a very unattainable way, I think.
Yeah. So my background in wanting to go into publishing, I again only looked to get into publishing last year, really, but I'm really seriously. So I went through a career change. I was a solicitor, and then I decided didn't want to do that anymore, and decided to volunteer at a theatre, which I was able to afford to do because I had a bit of savings.
Nice.
And that's how I got into digital marketing. And I applied for the HarperCollins BAME trainee scheme last year, and because I got through the second round of that, I think they had 300 applicants, and I got down to the last 50. That actually gave me a kick up the butt to say, actually, you have got something to offer this industry. And because like you, I didn't see anyone from my background, someone from an ethnic minority, really high up in the publishing industry. It's not something that you see that often. Again, people kind of from your background as well, kind of lowest socioeconomic. It's a very white middle class industry in terms of like. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just thinking out loud. I mean, it's a bit controversial, but we've even had that Twitter exchange where it was like, yes, my name's not Genevieve or Amelia, so I won't be getting a job in editorial anytime soon. It's a bit bad to say that. It's a bit naughty to say that, but where is the inaccuracy? When I finally got a glimpse inside a real life, breathing, functioning publishing office for Michael Joseph, it was everything that the stereotypes which people like to fight is on about. It is not wrong. And I felt it was a very middle class environment. I was sat at my desk and overhearing conversations about how was your weekend in Norway, and I'm thinking, wow, whoa, like I don't know anyone who's done anything like that.
Publishing's a really weird industry in a lot of ways, because a lot of the people that do work in it are from middle class privileged backgrounds. But if you actually see, if you see the money that they're paid for the work that they actually do, like it's a joke. Do you know what I mean? It's actually it's kind of, it's almost like a career that you go into
for the love.
For the love of it. Because if you see someone who's working in the marketing department, you see their wage compared to like the market rate elsewhere in other industries, it's not the same, man. It's not the same.
You're right.
So yeah, you want to get kind of go into editorial, I'm guessing.
More so,
publicity, but kind of publicity. So I want to get into kind of the marketing end of things if I can.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of similar path that we want to go on, really. In terms of, are you reading any interesting books at the moment to get yourself through COVID-19, or?
I am. I love audiobooks, so what I'm listening to, I'll bring it now, is This Green and Pleasant Land by Aisha Malik. I love this.
Okay. Cool.
It's seriously a cool book. I would talk about what it's about, but I'll let you find out for yourself if you want to. It's very interesting.
What it's a bit of a geeky question. What
Go on.
audio platform are you using to kind of download your audiobooks? Is it Audible, or are you going through your local library, or
Local library, borrow
how are
box.
you purchasing? Borrowbox, yeah, I'm using Libby to download my audiobooks because yeah, I know we're both trying to get into publishing, but fuck Amazon, basically. I'm gonna avoid kind of giving them as much money
Yeah,
if I
don't get
can
me
afford it.
wrong. I'm not scared of the big A. Like I did have Audible when I was first like, oh wait, audiobooks, what's this all about? And I had their free
Yeah,
trial for like ages, and I loved it as much as I love Spotify, even though that's a bit of that one kind of like in the industry puts one eyebrow up and one down. It's a bit like, like
yeah,
it's one
yeah,
of those. But yeah, I actually used the borrow box thing as a successor to Audible mainly because of I don't want to keep spending money, but I've always had this system as well where I like to sustain an author. If I love a book so much on an audiobook, I will go to the author's website, look at where they're selling it. Maybe it's usually through a link for their publisher directly or whatever. I will buy their book in physical form as organically as I can if I
yeah.
love
I
the
think
book.
that's yeah. I always try and direct people to my local bookshop, which is All Good Books in North London.
Mm-hmm.
That please give those guys as much help as you can. They're a lot of booksellers going through a tough time. So I'm gonna
Before we do that, I'm gonna shout out a bookstore also in North London, West End Lane Books. Their Twitter game is absolutely spot on, and they seem so lovely, and I can't wait to go there.
yeah. So kind of that last couple of questions, dude. What are the first three things you're gonna do once we're out of lockdown?
Go and party. Oh my god, I can't wait. Um, I'll enjoy being able to just walk around the museums and galleries that will be open for the first time in a long time, and I cannot wait to go to McDonald's. So
Yeah,
it starts off at the bottom, goes up and right back
yeah,
down again.
yeah. So for my free, I start off the bottom. I'm gonna get myself a greasy fried chicken burger
Oh
from my local. Visit my niece, who I haven't been able to hug
yeah.
or
Oh,
hold in. Oh, it's coming up to 2 months now, so that's quite difficult. And
oh
then,
damn.
yeah, I'm gonna be going back to my jiu-jitsu club as well. So
Hey.
those are my three. Those are my three things. Is there anything about the movie that you wanted to talk about that I didn't want to talk that I didn't come across in the discussion?
There will be. As soon as we hang up this call, I think of the most spectacular idea in the world. But the stuff I shoehorned in there without us really getting onto it, like the classism of it is so prevalent. That's a shame. But like I say, what I want to know is how the hell, that I said at the start of this, how the hell do they make the UK look so bloody nice in all these films? Like,
Yeah,
usually it's the UK, we know what it looks like. Why does it look
yeah,
so lovely in all of these types of films?
yeah.
How?
You've got good, it's good lighting, good set direction as well. I'm
Oh, and
guessing, kind of,
it's
yeah.
like oh god, what's that Netflix series that's a bit American looking? It's filmed near Hereford actually. Sex Education.
I've not seen that. I've not seen
Well,
that.
when you
Yeah,
do, the UK's never looked so bloody green and blue and bright. What the hell did they do to it? Is there some mad filter that I need for my iPhone? I don't know, but I'm not gonna lie. You'll see it the same as these films. What are they doing? How do I do it?
yeah.
Honestly.
That's That's I think a good point to end on. Will you join me in telling everyone to stay the fuck at home? So 1, 2, 3, guys, stay the fuck at home,
Stay
please.
the fuck at home. Yes.
Thank you very much, dude. We'll wrap it up there. Thanks, dude.
Thanks for
Thanks.
having me.
Cheers. Cheers, buddy. Bye.